Welcome to the More Than a Milspouse Podcast in the Unlocking Identity series. If you are ready to find your way back to yourself, unlock purpose, and tap into your potential so you can live a vibrant, energetic life, walk in joy, show up for the people that you care about, make a difference, and find fulfillment regardless of where you live, this series is for you. It's time to unlock your identity because you are more than a milspouse. Hello friends, welcome to day 4 of the Unlocking Identity series. I am super excited about today's topic because it is one that is near and dear to my heart. So over the last few days, we've been talking about how we begin to unlock our identity. And we've talked about reconnecting with our mind and body. We've talked about building awareness. We've talked about understanding what it is that brings us joy and how we want to feel. And we've talked about getting clear on our core values and what matters most to us. And today we're going to move into another piece of this puzzle, another piece of the purpose puzzle, if you will, because we're going to be talking about our intention, because there's one thing that so many of us focus on, the one question that is ubiquitous in our culture today. And it's the question, what do you do? The question, what do you want to do? The question, what should I be doing? We talk a lot about what we do. And that's one reason that it is so challenging for us sometimes to distinguish purpose from what we do to earn an income. And sometimes these two can be the same thing, and sometimes these two things can be very different. I recently recorded an episode that you will get to hear on the podcast in the next couple of months. And we talked about this very thing, that sometimes purpose aligns with what we do to earn money, and sometimes purpose is something else entirely. But each of us was made with and for a purpose. And I believe that we each have something unique that we bring to the table. And when we fail to show up and use what we've been given, the world misses out. Just for a moment, imagine the difference in the world if all of us were walking and living out of our purpose. If we were doing the thing that we feel called to do. If each of us was really using our resources to make a difference in the life of others, the world would be an entirely different place. But the truth is that most of us aren't walking in that place of confidence and impact. So many of us have lost sight of who we are and what we bring to the table. And we've traded in a life of meaning and purpose for just getting by, just making it through the day, helping others achieve their dreams. And when we look at our own life, we don't see our future potential. We see a reality that makes us feel stuck. And so we've talked about on the podcast before that we think the answer to changing our life lies in getting to the right duty station or finding a job or biding our time until our spouse gets out of the military. We've put our dreams and passions on hold, or we're still hoping that that one thing is going to make all the difference because we're focused on what we do, what we should be doing, how we should be earning an income. But I want to present to you a different way to look at this, a separate question, a better question. In fact, what I would say the most important question you and I should be asking if we truly want to unlock our identity. And I'm going to share that question with you in a moment. But first, I want to just tell you a small piece of my story, because one of the biggest shifts in my life was when I realized why this question was so important. And I think perhaps you can relate to how I felt. At the time, we were in the middle of having babies and moving a lot. And I was in this place where I was trying everything, figuring out, how do I make this life work for me? How do I find the perfect work-life balance that is going to allow me to not burn out, to be able to be present for my family, to give my family, my kids, my spouse, the time and attention that I need to give them, and still not feel lost, to still feel like I have something for myself. And so I kept asking, what is it? What should I be doing? What's the right work-life balance for me? And I felt stuck. I wasn't sure how to set goals for myself and not get thrown off by the constant upheaval and uncertainty of military life. I wasn't sure what to do to get unstuck. And as I was walking through this and feeling I don't know what my next step needs to be, someone said to me, the true measure of success is the legacy we leave behind. And this statement has stuck with me ever since. And I realized that I had been so focused on these external measures of success rather than looking at my life in terms of legacy. What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What do I want others to say about me when I'm gone? And I get that this question is a little bit morbid, but it really does give us a really good perspective. In episode 189, I talked with Jenna Griffith about finding purpose as a military spouse. And this is one of the first places she recommends you start to figure out purpose. And the reason this exercise is important because it gives you a chance to kind of step back and look at your life as a whole. What do you want people to remember about you? And when I began to think about this question, I really thought, what is it? Is it that I wanted to be remembered for accomplishing something great? Well, maybe. Do I want people to remember that I worked hard at a job or that I was a great mom? And that's when the real shift occurred for me. And I realized that so much of my time and energy up to that point had been focused on doing what I did, what I accomplished, what culture deemed important. And I realized I needed to make a shift from doing to being. And so the number one question that you and I can ask ourselves is, who do I want to be? It's not about necessarily what we accomplish, but success comes from our legacy. Success comes from how we showed up in the world. And so our focus needs to be not on what we do, but who we want to become. In the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, author Bronnie Ware talks about how the number one regret of people on their deathbed was not what they accomplished or didn't accomplish or didn't do. It was the failure to live true to who they were, to live into who they were meant to be. So one of the most important things we can do if we want to unlock our identity is to ask the question, who do I want to be? Now, that is a broad question, and I want to make this super practical for you. So I'm going to give you the first exercise that I did to really begin to unpack this question. And that was to make a list of characteristics that described the person I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up, and the impact I wanted to have on others. And eventually I settled on a list of 10 characteristics that I felt were ones that I wanted to be a part of who I was. And I printed these 10 characteristics out so I could see them. And initially, I hung them on my bathroom wall. I currently have a copy in my journal and on my phone so that I can look at it on a regular basis. And so every time I open my calendar, it's there. Every time I sit down for my quiet time in the morning, it's there. These are words that I want to be a part of who I am. Now, the words on this list have evolved over time, and the more that I sit with them, the more I sometimes find other words that I feel like describe the feeling that I'm after a little better. So the words have evolved, but this is a practical way that helped me move from this place of wanting to do to wanting to be. And it really transformed my life from the inside out. I want to briefly caveat this because it is important, but that doesn't mean that I am going to immediately show up and demonstrate these characteristics in my life. It is a process of change that happens over time. I often fall short of these qualities, but I have to remind myself that this is about not only who I am today, but it is about who I am becoming and the version of myself that I am living into. This is a journey. It's not always easy or straightforward. I don't always take, 3 steps forward and then 4 steps forward. It's like this journey of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. It's a journey of progress, not perfection. It's a journey that requires grace. So if you take the time to make a list and answer the question, who do I want to be? Don't feel hopeless or bad or guilty or shame because your life doesn't currently match up with this list. This is a starting point. Give yourself lots of grace for this journey. Replace guilt with grace because grace is sufficient. We are all imperfect. We are all going to fail. That's okay. Day by day, moment by moment, we can choose who we want to be and the legacy we leave behind. So that's your challenge today. Ask the question, who do I want to be? Your answers will be unique to you. But if you take the time to ask the question, to sit with it, and to see what comes up for you, you might be surprised because transforming my life from a focus on doing to being changed everything. And if we are on this journey together to unlock identity, to discover purpose, and to trade our frustration for fulfillment, this is a key piece of this journey. So that is all I have for you today. Come back again tomorrow as we wrap up this whole series on unlocking identity. I will tie a bow on this, see how all of these pieces come together. I can't wait to do that with you. Until then, may you live filled, fueled, and full of joy. Hey, amazing Milspouse, before you go, I want you to know that I love hearing from you. The More Than a Milspouse community exists to help you thrive as a military spouse. Figure out what lights your heart on fire and empower you to live with purpose and impact. You can have an incredible impact simply by heading over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. But your impact doesn't stop there. You can empower those around you simply by sharing an episode with a friend or neighbor, someone who needs a little encouragement in this military life. And if this episode was meaningful to you, spread the love by taking a screenshot of this episode and tagging me on Instagram so we can continue to reach more people, change more lives, and shift the way that military spouses look at life. Because we are better together. Together, we can change the world. Let's do it.